There are maracas and shakers all around the world in every culture. I guess they're one of the most rudimentary instruments that exist. But there is a story, a legend that comes from Guinea about how the maraca came into existence. Now, you all know that Guinea is on the west coast of Africa, just underneath Senegal and Mali, around that area. And many, many years ago, there was a village chief called Arawaniti. And Arawaniti was a nice guy. He was a good chief, but his village was a disaster. There was no food, people were starving. There was no fun, nobody laughed, nobody played. It was a terrible place to live. And Arawaniti felt this, because he was the chief. It was his responsibility to sort things out. He didn't know what to do. And one day, while he was walking down by the river, thinking how he could solve the problems of his village, a figure rose out of the waters of the river. It was the goddess cclo. And cclo handed him a branch. She said, "Take this branch and plant it, and you shall have food." So Arawaniti went running back to the village. He carefully planted the branch, and every day he watered it. And sure enough, after a few days it began to sprout leaves. And after a few weeks, fruit appeared. The fruit was the calabash, the gourd, related to the pumpkin. Very, very soon, the village had food. They harvested the calabash and they prepared delicious soups and stews. They made all kinds of delicious dishes out of the calabash. People had food in their stomachs. They should have been happy, but they weren't. Nobody laughed. They were eating, their stomachs were full, but nobody was happy. Arawaniti did not understand why. So he went back to the river and he said, "Please, please, cclo, goddess, help me. Why aren't people happy?" Out of the waters again arose cclo. This time she handed him some white pebbles, little stones. And she said, "Take some of the calabash and dry them. And when they're dry, put the pebbles inside. You will make music, and with music, your people will be happy." So Arawaniti went back to the village. He took some of the calabash and he carefully dried them out in the sun. A week later, when they were dry, he put the pebbles inside. He shook them, and sure enough, they started making rhythms. The people came running to see what this sound was. They got the gourds, the calabash in their hands. They started shaking them. People started laughing. People started dancing. Arawaniti had finally managed to solve the problems of his village. They now had food for their stomachs and music for their souls. And the people were happy.